Yep.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We are back with Finding Fitness. And today we are talking about how to get out of a CrossFit or lack of CrossFit or lack of exercise slump. Did I say that right? Like how to get out of a...
How to get out and avoid slumps.
Yeah, like not being consistent or not getting to the gym as often as you'd like. So I think we're each going to talk a little bit about our own experience with it. I'll go first, I suppose. So I first started CrossFit in 2011, and I did it probably like 3 to 4 times a week until like 2013. When I went to school, it wasn't as consistent, but I still like got to the gym and stuff, at least like twice a week, minimum. But like after I graduated college, I got into definitely a big slump, like almost a 2-year slump, where I got, out of shape, and then, found reignited the flame, as you can see, with jumping into a career. But
You're talking about your body.
No, that's what I had to clarify. Clearly, I am back doing CrossFit.
You can tell them my abs.
I'm shirtless doing this. No, but during I remember, it started with, I was bartending, so I was kind of on my feet, working crazy hours. And then, so I basically stopped going to the gym then, and I kind of justified it mentally, I'm on my feet for 12-hour days, 3 days a week, and 8-hour days the other days, and so I don't need it, and it was, not that I didn't need it, but I didn't rapidly gain weight or anything. I kind of just stayed the same, maybe gained a little bit, but then I got a desk job, but the same habit of not going to the gym kind of stayed with me. And, over those couple of years, I was I would do the whole, I'll just do CrossFit style workouts. I got a $20 gym membership, and I would do that for 2 or 3 weeks, and then I wouldn't go for 2 or 3 months. And, it was just kind of a revolving circle like that for a year and a half or so, until what kind of got me back into it was I actually remember the exact moment, and I got out of breath tying my shoes, wheezing out of breath, and I was I needed to make a change. That was the defining moment. There were other moments too, but that's one that sticks in my head. And I was I don't know, 24 at the time, maybe. I don't know. I was young, but I was this is not how I want to be. But anyway, that was my one moment that got me back to the gym. I kind of, what I did, I tried to remember how I felt while I was exercising. I knew I was happier. I was obviously happier with my body, with when I was consistently exercising. Just my overall quality of life was just exponentially better when I was exercising, and I just kept telling myself that for the first month or so, and wound up losing a bunch of weight, getting back in some good shape, and then it kind of just proved to myself that I was right. It's just about consistency and getting to the gym and sweating, and it all started with literally just getting back in the door and doing one workout. And I also had an accountability buddy, so my best friend was doing CrossFit at the time too, who used to make fun of me for doing CrossFit back in the day. But he would call me every morning at 5 a.m., make sure I got out of bed. We would go work out every day, all through the winter. And that was in the winter too. It was through January or something.
It's really hard to get back on track in the winter.
Yeah. So the accountability buddy was huge for me, because I definitely wouldn't have done that without him. And then, after, a few weeks of doing that, I just got into a routine, and it was, just what I did. I went to the gym, then went to work, or after like a month of that, it was went to work, then went to the gym. but I stayed consistent with it, and that's all that it was. So you have your ups and downs, but you kind of have to be honest with yourself and find a way to hold yourself accountable. And for me, it was like having somebody there that made sure I was accountable, and going to a CrossFit gym where they ask why you didn't show up and stuff like that. So
Right.
that's kind of how I got back into it.
Nice. Yeah, that accountability and building habits, that's like, I bet that'll be a common theme in all of our stories, or everybody's stories. Like if you want to get back on the wagon, that having some sort of accountability and like making it a habit, and prioritizing it are really the keys.
Yeah, for sure. Who's next?
I'll go. We can go around this way.
Yeah.
I haven't ever had like a drastic like slump, but I go through like periods where I'll only work out 2 or 3 days a week or something, and like normally why that happens is just like my schedule gets messed up. Like I can be way more consistent if I have like a regular schedule. Like I work out at 8:30 every day, or I have like a set time where I work out. And so usually like if my schedule isn't normal, then that's what really puts me into a slump, because then I have excuses why I missed that workout that day, or it's easy to skip when you're busy or your day gets thrown off. So those are kind of my slumps, and it always happens. Like it's not just like one day; it's like a couple weeks. That's when it's a slump. Like because stuff happens. Where
Life
you might
gets in the way.
Yeah, like every once in a while that happens. But when you find that it's like goes on for like 2 weeks, then it's like I would consider that a slump. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean my biggest thing is is making it a priority, and like putting it into a schedule where the night before I think about what time I'm going to work out, when I'm going to get everything else done, and then just like stick to it.
Yeah, I think when you're like struggling to like find the motivation to go, a good trick could be to like come in and like do something that you like. Like you don't want it to just do that forever, but like sometimes when you're struggling just to get in the door, if you come in and you like squatting, it's like just come in and like do a 5x5 or something, or like if you like to be on the assault bike for a long time, come in and do that. Or like just something that's going to get you in the door, because usually when you're here you never like leave regretting it, so
Right.
So it's just about, in scenarios like that, it's getting back in the door. And
Or even like set a plan to meet someone at the gym the next day. Like we're gonna go to the 11:30 class together.
Right. Yeah.
it's Ben.
Yeah, setting your schedule and holding yourself accountable definitely helps. Yeah, and no one's ever like, you're right, that's a good point. Like no one ever comes to the gym and leaves and they're like, oh, I wish I hadn't have gone there
Right.
today.
Yeah, exactly.
My turn?
Yeah.
Okay. So I went through a slump for a while. It was kind of like almost a 3-year slump. I got injured in 2015. Hurt my back pretty bad, or like winter 2015. Wasn't too bad. Could still modify all the workouts. Spring of 2016, it was like, couldn't do anything. So I still tried to modify, but I was limited to strict pull-ups, strict dips, strict muscle-ups. That was kind of it. Strict gymnastics, a little bit of biking. And I was pretty good about staying with that, but that got tiring really fast. And so I just stopped working out. I think a big part of it for me was like getting over my, I guess my ego of like being healthy, being a good athlete, and then all of a sudden not be able to do anything that I wanted, but still like watching everyone else be able to do all the fun stuff. It's hard to be in a place you love and not be able to do what you love. But like to help get me through that slump, I just kind of tried to focus on my coaching more, which helped, keep the positivity here. But I think after a while, I just figured out I was getting so unhealthy or so unfit, or what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, my fitness was not going well. But I don't know where my big turning point was. I don't know when I just started.
I don't think like there needs to be like a big turning point necessarily.
Yeah.
I feel like you were always trying to get back at it,
right.
But like, so you'd try to like go to a chiropractor or go to a acupuncture or go to a rolfer. Like you'd try out all these things to make your back better, and none of them were working until you finally
so many
found,
people.
Yeah, so you finally found someone that like worked for you.
That's true. Yeah, I finally did find the right specialist to help me.
Right.
And they told me to start doing lifts that I hadn't been doing and start trying new things to test it out. And then, slowly I started being able to do more and more things. I remember I had like maybe 2 kind of big setbacks. Not big, but, maybe like out for 3 weeks to a month, which was nothing compared to the 3 years or so. But yeah, it was just like that slow, steady pace of trying to trust the process that eventually I'd be able to get, back to being happy with my fitness. And I mean, there's still certain things that I try to avoid because I know it will kind of throw me out a little bit. But I think it's just trying to, so for today's WOD, that it's terrible. The thrusters and burpees and pull-ups and the rowing. But going through it, I was just thinking I'm just doing this to be healthy and be fit. I don't care about my score. I just want to do it to do it. And I'm having fun with the workouts now. Mm-hmm. So I find instead of trying to attack workouts I want to have the best score today, it's just I want to finish. I want to have fun. Yeah. And
I want to move well.
I want to move well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
That's a hard thing to do, I think, too. Especially being competitive at one point and then not. It's a hard transition.
Yeah, because you kind of identified yourself as an athlete because Sarah was one of the better athletes in the area at that time. Had a lot of potential and that was your thing. You were a badass athlete, and so to lose that is that was really hard. So yeah, I think a lot of that definitely was my ego, getting that more in check and knowing that that's not what matters really.
Yeah. If you can definitely see beyond your time on the board,
right,
and stuff, that can make a big difference too. The fact that you're in the building, moving, and you're inevitably you're gonna work a little bit harder than you would by yourself, being around people, having a coach there. So that's huge.
Yeah.
I think that's my big slump story.
Yeah. Coming 3 years. Yeah. Coming back.
Yeah, I think it was pretty close to 3 years.
Were you
at least, consistency?
You said you were doing strict gymnastics. Were you still maintaining? I'm sure your fitness declined a bit. Were you still maintaining a little bit, or
I'd say
was there a point where you just didn't work out for 6 months?
There was
at
a
all?
point where I didn't work out for longer than 6 months.
Yeah.
It got my back got real bad, and I think I just I still did strict pull-ups here and there, but for a while I was doing strict gymnastic workout maybe 3 times a week because you can't do them every day.
No.
And then for a while I just biked for a bit. But yeah, I got so sick of it and I got so unmotivated that I just kind of quit on it. So my fitness definitely faltered. I think everything fell except for my strength in my gymnastics.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean all the weight lifts, those went way down. My cardio went way down. Yeah. Coming back to it was hard. and I'm still trying to like get cardio back to a. I mean, it's much better than it was, and I'm happy with it. But you know, we always look for. We all like. I don't know. I guess I'm backtracking now, but it's getting. I don't know. Did that answer your question? I don't think that answered your question.
Yeah. I just didn't know if there was a point where you said it was like a 3-year slump, where it was like you did not work out for 3 years, or you just kind of like modified.
I think like. I don't know. Do you remember how long I didn't work out? Because there was a point where I just didn't work out.
I remember when I first started.
I know you weren't working out when I started.
Yeah.
Like I remember seeing you doing like pull-ups or now and then, but that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's.
Yeah, there was a while, probably like a year.
Yeah.
Of like, I mean, maybe you do like some like random pull-ups and dips every once in a while, but yeah.
I did quite a few like 10-minute bikes here and there. Yeah.
Did you ever get to the point where your back felt like it was better and you could work out, but mentally you're like, I don't know if I can go back into it right now? Like, was there ever like a mental block there?
If I ever did feel better, I never would touch a barbell. Maybe a 15-pound bar, if that. But I really didn't start into that kind of stuff until I started seeing the new guy that I'm still seeing.
Yeah.
I've been seeing him for like a year and a half now, right? A year.
I guess my question would be better worded is like, were you nervous like going back into classes again about doing stuff?
Nervous, but also slightly embarrassed to go back into classes. Just because it was like scaling down to way below our scale on the board. But I was also like I went really slow with everything to really focus on my form. So I guess in that aspect I wasn't too nervous because I'd go so light and I was so like deliberate about my movement. But every now and then like I start pushing weights a little bit here and there like on squats. Not really deadlifts or anything, but those make me a little nervous. Even if I feel good, I'll be like, that's probably good for today. You know, because I just get nervous that one little movement's gonna throw me back.
But I remember the biggest, like, you would not like to work out in class because, like, some people had started and they didn't know that you, you know.
I was so embarrassed that these people that didn't know me before my injury would be like, this is my coach and she can't do anything.
Right. So I remember you talking about that, but.
Yeah.
Do you think that holds a lot of people back from coming back from a slump? Like, maybe they were a really good rower and then, like, they don't want to come back and row because they're embarrassed at how bad it might be.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
it's like, you know, this is your community, your group of people, but at the same time, I think everybody, as humans, we are like, we don't want to be judged. But it is a safe space, and nobody, like, people just be like, oh, it's so awesome that you're working out with us, you know? Yeah. Would never say anything about what I was doing, even if I was modifying or... So it is like you have to keep that in mind that people are just happy that you're here and working out with them, no matter what you're doing. Because even if it was just starting, you know, everyone's done just a barbell or just modified all the movements because, you know, XYZ reasons.
Yeah, I was super nervous to start again. And I didn't have any excuse. I was just lazy for years. And, but, like, I was super out of... Not that I was, like, in excellent shape when I was... CrossFitting, you know, a few times a week, but I was still nervous to come back and be like, go back to the same gym that I got me in shape, super out of shape, you know?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, even, like, I've done, like, this is probably, like, 6 years ago, but I did, like, a powerlifting cycle where I just tried to, I didn't WOD, I didn't do anything, I just, like, powerlifted and lifted weights. Just because I wanted to put on strength and size. And when I came back, I was, like, so out of shape. And it was, like, embarrassing to work out with classes. Because I would do, like, you know, 20 burpees. And I'd be, like, smoked, feel like I was going to throw up.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that's also... Well, it could be different. Like, if that happened to me now, I don't know if I'd feel different, but I know, like, back then, it was, like, totally just in my head. Like, they wanted me to come back, like, didn't care. They just, you know, wanted to see me, you know, get fit again.
Right.
And,
just
you know, that's how we feel about everybody that gets our annoying automated emails that haven't been here, but, or that we haven't seen in a while, you know. So it's totally just in your head, like, thinking that way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just ego thing or whatever that you just have to get over, and when you get over it, then it makes working out a lot more enjoyable, and life in general a lot more enjoyable if you're not worrying about what other people are thinking of you.
Right. And like no one's gonna like people are gonna be like, hey, yeah, where you been? Like we missed in like a we missed you sort of way.
Right.
It's never gonna be like, you idiot, like why haven't you been here? Like, everybody goes through slumps.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, it's totally just a mental thing.
Yeah.
That way of thinking.
And some people own it. They come back and they're like, they'll,
I messed up.
Look at my new beer belly.
That's what I got for Christmas.
Yeah.
Nice.
What about you, Zach?
I was kind of racking my brain to think about coming out of a slump, and I guess I'm actually kind of coming out of one right now a little bit. This year has been, not that I'm getting old, but I have pushing 28. I've been recognizing
when you cross that threshold.
Yeah, 27's been rough to me. I'm recognizing this year how important recovery and mobility is going to be. I can't power through soreness like I used to, and I've had a lot of like random injuries this year. This year's been plagued with injuries for me, from like throwing my back out just picking up a barbell off the ground, and then hurting my leg playing slow pitch softball. And like all these old man injuries have been happening to me that have made me, I've still been working out really modified, and then like coupled with just like a busy schedule the last few months, I've been I wouldn't even say maintaining fitness. I've definitely lost a lot of strength, but I've still been working out. It's not like I've gone 3 months without working out, but it's definitely been modified workouts, usually by myself because I haven't had time to hop into class. So it's very different. And last week was my first week back into like full force doing things again, and kind of like what Sarah said too, like the first day I went in and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go back to the old me, and I got my ass kicked, and I was like, all right, now I gotta put the ego aside. And I started racking my brain, like clearly my strength's gone down, like what should I do? Should I do a 5x5 program? Should I do a 5-3-1? Should I do powerlifting? And then I asked myself, like, what would I tell somebody who was coming back, like what program should they do? And I'd tell them just hop in on classes.
Yeah.
So that's what I did last week, and I just hopped in on classes, and I got my ass kicked, and I had to scale down, and it was embarrassing because a workout like the Annie workout we did, which would typically be a very good workout for me, I had to pull back to like 115 on the bar, and then had to do like singles on the ring dips. Like it was very humbling, but just kind of work through it. That wasn't Annie, was it? It was Elizabeth, yes.
Yeah,
Elizabeth.
There's no Barney.
No, I'm thinking Elizabeth, the condensed Elizabeth we did.
Yeah.
We're typically like 155, I'd be like, I'm going to crush this. And I had to pull it back to 115 and just scale it and move through and still get my ass kicked by it. So I think the takeaway was just going back to class. Just go into it. Don't try to do some fancy program to get strength back up again. Like you're going to get it. Just be consistent, and that's
And you know something
that's the answer.
I found with my injury was like I had to focus, like I said, a lot more on movements. And like my knees used to cave in a lot on squats, and I've noticed that like since I've been focusing, I've dropped the weight a ton, been focusing on movement. I feel like my squats, it's not stronger, it's not where it was even close, but like positioning wise, it's all stronger. Like I never have to worry about my knees caving from where I am right now.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you never want someone to get an injury, but sometimes that can, when you're trying to avoid feeling the pain from your injury, that can be when you find your best positioning and
it
movements.
forces you to fix what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
there's that story of Brent Fikowski, who he was like always a regional competitor, like top 10, but never making it to the games. And then one year he just made it to the games and came in, I think, third or something. And so I think it was Ben Bergeron asked him, like, what did you do different this year? Because you're so much better. And he said, I got injured.
Yeah.
And so basically his injury made him work his weaknesses, like his gymnastics or whatever it was, and just focus on his mechanics, and then he made it through the games.
Yeah.
So even at a high level, sometimes injuries can teach you some new stuff and
Silver lining.
make you better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think kind of maybe it was like not when I first started working here, maybe like a year in, I was like, all right, I want to get like on the extra programming. I want to do this. I want to do that. And like we were trying to do it like in the mornings with like a couple members and like, but I remember doing that and it was just like too much for me. Like it was too much volume and like it strayed me from, and I wouldn't be as consistent. Like just exercise. Like I never got into like a real slump. You know, I still like, you know, got in my like 3 to 4 WODs a week when I was doing that. But like over the last year and a half now probably, or maybe a little over a year, I was just like, I'm gonna work out. I'm gonna WOD with classes once a day, and just been super consistent 5 days a week. Like I rarely do less than 5 days a week. And I'm the fittest I've ever been. And it's like, you know, it's sometimes, you know, I think now that the games have changed and stuff, it's not as like appealing to add all that volume in maybe, but, you know, back then it was like cool to do that or whatever. But, you know, I kind of realized that, you know, it's not what I enjoy. Like I love CrossFit classes, you know, that's the best part of this in my opinion. And you know, I strayed from that and definitely like I never got really injured, but like I probably got less fit from doing that if I think about it.
And not recovering as well.
Right. And now, you know, I had my best open this year. I wasn't sick and strongest I've ever been. Ran my first triathlon. Like, so hour a day.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say with any slump, when you're coming back, the number one thing should be consistency. So even if you're coming in and like giving a half-assed job, like at a WODs, like that's totally fine. Just come in, and then just come in, move, have fun. Like even just like joke around the whole class and do a few squats, like whatever. Just make it a consistent habit to be here. And then once you're consistent, then like. The next step would be start building your intensity back up, like start pushing it a little bit. And then after you have the intensity, you know, then if you want to, then start adding, you know, volume. But
it's definitely that has to be the way. Mechanics, consistency, then intensity. And like, you know, you can't go balls to the wall like 5 days a week. You know, that's definitely going to lead to burnout and a slump. You know, you have to, you know when you didn't get enough sleep the night before, you know when, you know, your nutrition is off and, you know, on days you feel good, go crush it. You know, days you're not really feeling it, you know, still come in, but just kind of go through the motions.
Even if you like come in and do mobility, I've had people do that. Warm up on a bike or rower and just stretch out. Keeps you consistent. You get to see your friends still, and you get some good recovery.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. All right. So what are the takeaways for getting out of a slump to end?
Get rid of your ego.
Yeah. And like, just know that it's going to be uncomfortable and you're not going to want to, but you just make yourself come in for that first like week or two.
Right.
And then
just that first day, like just get yourself through the doors on that first day and you're going to leave smiling.
Instead of, you know, maybe, you know, let's say you've been in a 6-month slump. 6 months ago, you know, a good day at the gym was, you know, top score on the leaderboard, or, you know, top 3 in the gym for, you know, the RX workout or whatever. Now your new thing is a win is getting through the door and being here for an hour.
Right.
You know, that's got to be the mindset shift, you know, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, try to find the joy in CrossFit when you first started.
Yeah.
Try to find that again.
Right. Yeah. It's got to be fun.
Yeah.
You know. That's why I don't just run.
Running's fun.
CrossFit's fun.
In moderation.
Cool. Yeah. So get yourself back in the door, you know, find it, and accountability, you know, like if you're like me, like, you know, definitely having someone there to like hold me accountable helped.
And if you don't have someone like that at the gym, then let a coach know. And like
Yep.
I always, like, there's been a few people over the last month or so that I've reached out to, and I'm like, when are you coming in this week or whatever, just so that I know, like, if they say they're going to be here Monday and they're not here, then I'm going to reach out to them. So yeah, just even like reach out to coaches and we'll be your accountability buddy.
Yeah. That's right. All right.
This podcast came from someone's question.
Oh yeah, right.
So
Yeah.
if you have questions, like, comment on it, send us a message, comment on the iTunes link,
Reviews,
all that stuff.
yep.
Institunes.
Yeah, all that.
What did someone say this? There was a little kid at the gym this morning on the rower, and he was like, "How many calometers did I do?" I thought that was great.
We should start explaining it that way. They're like, what? What are we doing?
Awesome. All right. Yeah. Leave us. Keep the questions coming. We need ideas. Want to hear what you guys want to hear about. So, and this was a good one. Really good.
Yeah.
One. So,
Yeah. Slumps happen. Just don't let it happen again.
Ever.
Yeah. You get one.
Bippity boppy. Bippity boppy. Bippity boppy.